friends, Dr. Lewis here. We are going to work on expedition for the week. So we're on our playlist and we scroll down to expedition. And I want us to look right here at our learning target. Take a moment to just read that to yourself. This learning target says, I can refer to details and examples in a text when explaining what the text says and when drawing inferences from the text. Now this is really similar to our last learning target in expedition, because our last learning target in expedition was all about answering text-dependent questions, using the details and examples in a text to answer questions about the text. And guess what, friends? We're doing the exact same thing this week, except instead of RI for reading informational, it's RL for reading and literature. And so this is things like stories, myths, narratives, fiction, And so I want to give us a few helpful hints for the week to help you do your absolute best. So the first thing I want us to do, obviously we're going to click on that Google Form assignment. And each Google Form assignment is going to pop up and look similar to this one. We've got our learning target up at the top. You type your name. And then when you start to scroll down, you can see that it says click on the link or copy and paste the link into your URL bar to view the passage. And of course, each passage is going to be different. Now, you can click on it, but if for some reason you can't click on it, you just copy it and paste it. This is your URL bar up here. This is the URL bar. So that's where you would end up pasting it. Okay? So I want to just give us a couple of helpful hints to help you do your absolute best on the work this week. So when you click this open, it should make a new tab. And the first thing you're going to want to do is pull this tab out, and you're going to want to shrink the sides. Make sure those double arrows pop up, and you're going to pull it over here. And the next thing you're going to want to do is click back on the Google Form and do the same thing, but go in the opposite direction. So this way you have a split screen, and you can see the text on one side and the questions on the other. Okay? All right. So what I want us to really remember is we are still using our close reading strategies. You're going to read it one time all the way through to find the gist, determine what it's mostly about. You don't need to write anything yet on the first read. You're just reading it. On that second read, you're starting to dig deeper. You're reading the text again and then leaving tracks of your thinking, which is asking questions, making connections. Are there important words or events that you might need to remember? So that's the second read. And then here's our third read. This is where we read for meaning. This is where the most important piece happens on that third read. You're reading the text again for a specific purpose. Do you have a question to answer? Be sure to use examples from the text. Yes, you will have questions to answer. So that leads me to my next piece of advice. When you're on this third read, reading for meaning, after you've read it through 2 times, you've found the gist, you're starting to ask questions and make connections, and now you're ready to answer specific questions, this is when you want to go back to this Google Form and read the questions before you read the text for a third time. When you do that, you're starting to look for certain answers in the text. So another piece of advice that I would give you is as you're doing the third read and as you're trying to answer the questions, I would have a sheet of paper next to me on my computer, a sticky note, my journal, a scratch paper, whatever, and I would be jotting down notes to help me find the answers on the Google Form. So I would be, on my sticky note, it might say, I might not even write this whole question. I might just say, what season does Susanna dislike? And I know at the beginning of the story when I'm reading it, I'm looking for the season that she dislikes. And then I can just jot down some examples of evidence from the text that help me figure out which season she dislikes. Same thing over here. If you know you're looking for the where, the setting, where do the main events of the story take place, I would jot down on a sticky note some of the places that I see in the story. Here's another question that is really great. It says, Susanna does not like being outside in the snow. What evidence from the story supports this statement? I would start looking for all the examples of why Susanna, isn't liking the snow. That way I can come back and compare it to these answers here so I can make the best choice, not just a choice that I think, but a choice that's coming directly from the evidence in the text. Okay? So I also want to point out that a lot of these questions are distractors. They're meant to throw you off. They're meant to see, are you really reading the text or are you just phoning it in? Are you just clicking the buttons and trying to get it over with? So those questions are in there not to trick you, but to really see if you're doing your absolute best. So each one of these will have 5 questions. I will get your responses sent to my email, but so will you. You will get an automatic score with automatic feedback, and you'll be able to share that information with your parents on the spot. So every single one of these this week, every single one of these Google Forms is meant to be sent directly to you. So, of course, this one I'm on my account, but a copy of your responses will be emailed to your account. So you'll be able to see your results this week. If you're still struggling with how to meet this target, I would recommend going back to the video from last week about how to read the text closely. That can be found on your last week's playlist. I don't feel like I need to post it here again. Just remember, try the split screen. Make sure that you click the link to pull up the text, and make sure that you're using the text to answer the questions. Remember the big no-no about using just your brain to answer the questions. That's not how we answer text-dependent questions. So I'm counting on you to do your absolute best. I cannot wait to see how well you do and share that feedback with you and your families. If you need anything, please reach out to me via email or during my office hours. Have a great day.